Okay, so let's get into it. If you were to describe yourself without naming any roles that you
Oh,
play, how would you
okay.
describe yourself?
That's a good question. I would say ambitious. Ambitious for sure. Fun. I'm fun. Ambitious, fun, driven, resilient. How many adjectives do you want?
All right, go like dive deeper. Like, what makes you ambitious? Like, you know?
I would say I've always been ambitious. I don't know if it's because I'm a Capricorn or if that's how my mom raised me, because my mom was a go-getter too. So I've just always been working hard to live the life that I desire, and that looked different along the years. When I was younger, it was like working a lot of jobs, having my own place from a young age, and now it looks more like building generational wealth and navigating life to execute that.
Okay, like, that term, I think in these, like, this generation, generational wealth, it gets kind of thrown around loosely. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, for sure. You definitely hear it a lot more than, like, I never heard that when I was younger, growing up. I never heard that term generational wealth. And I definitely think that, yes, it is becoming more of a topic of discussion. And I do think that, because we are in the information era, we have more access to information that will get us that. And what that means to me is essentially leaving my kids with something, you know what I mean? So, whether that be real estate. People always say, like, real estate is a great form of generational wealth because you leave them property. Obviously, it can accumulate revenue. I don't know if that's the word I want to say. Can accumulate
Passive income?
passive, yeah, like passive income. But also, like, being able to, like, have a business even that my children can grow up into. And because the way how the youth are growing up now, like, they're not looking for jobs. They don't want jobs. They want to be entrepreneurs. So if I'm able to kind of set them up for that in whatever field or whatever it is they want to do, but also give them the opportunity to kind of build those skills, then I feel like that creates a pathway for them to kind of create wealth within themselves as well, which can carry on, so on and so
Nice.
forth. Yeah.
So, you're a person that typically wears many hats,
Oh my
right?
gosh, so many.
And you've dibbled and dabbled in many different avenues in life. For people that feel kind of uncomfortable that they have to stick to one thing, what type of words do you have for them?
You got to pivot to give it.
Ooh, what does that mean?
That's a term that I heard in a podcast one time, and I didn't exactly know that. I wouldn't say that I didn't know that's what I was doing, but when I heard that term, I was like, oh, this is it. Because the way how, society has formed our life expectancy, it's like, okay, we're supposed to go to school and we're supposed to do this and, get married, have kids and everything like that. And I just feel like I've always thought outside of that box. I always knew from a younger age that that's not exactly what I wanted to do, but I wasn't exactly sure how to get to that idea or that vision that I had. So I've tried a lot of different things. And when I went on maternity leave, that's actually when things started to change for me, because before that I was always working in different fields and everything like that. But when I became an entrepreneur, I found more freedom and trying new things. Like, first I started doing events, and then I'm like, oh, I like this. And I feel like when you try new things, you learn about what you like and what you don't like. And if you like something, then you keep finding or searching for opportunities to grow in that area. And so if you are trying one thing and you're like, you know what, I like this, but I don't like this, then stop doing that thing that you don't like and continue on to find new opportunities and things that you do like. And I feel like that's another way how you can get closer to your passion and your purpose, because if you keep yourself confined in one linear direction, then you kind of don't really know what's out there to explore. And so I have let go of, like, this, because a lot of the times we fear how other people will see us. Like, oh, if I do this, then, like, they've always seen me doing this, and now if I do this, it, like, it might make me look a certain way. But, like, it's your life. And so I always feel like, hey, like, yeah, I was in the music industry, and before that I was doing network marketing, you know, then I ended up in the music industry, then I ended up, like, I tried so many different things, and I might try some more. And I just feel like never be too scared to try something new, because that new thing may be the thing that leads you to the thing that you want to do forever.
Fair. Okay, like on social media, right? I feel like a lot of people, like, they record the highlights of their life, and it will be just like good highlights.
Yeah.
On your page, in your pin video, I feel like you have a story of vulnerability, right? And for the people that haven't seen it, they can go watch it. I'm not going to explain it now.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask is, what are some of the biggest struggles that you're either going through or you've overcame in the last 1 or 2 years?
That's a good question. Also, just to touch on that social media piece that people always show, like the highlights. I think that's an important thing to note, and for me to just speak on that a little bit, because I caught myself doing it as well. Like only posting the good things, but when I be realistic with myself, I'm like, dang, like I really overcame a lot, and I feel like it's important for people to see that and to know that and to resonate with me in that way, because when I look at other people's pages and it's all positivity and like everything is just amazing and all their aesthetic is perfect, like, I mean, no shade, like I feel like that's super dope, like if that's how your life is, or if that's the image you want to pursue, that's cool. But for me, I just feel like my life isn't like that. And I've always stood on like authenticity. And even like back in high school, my Instagram used to actually be The Realist. My Facebook was The Realist, because I was just always like so forward about and direct about like in my communication, how I felt about things, how I felt about people. And I feel like authenticity is something that so many people are scared to step into, but it's like that's what makes us unique. So in terms of the pinned video that you see on my page, I think that it does represent one of my biggest struggles in terms of like, I relocated to Toronto last year, kind of abruptly. It was on my vision board, so I'm happy I made it, but it was pretty abrupt. I had sort of a plan in mind, but just as far as I like when I got there and I I knew where I was gonna go, but I didn't really have much other plans other than like the faith. And that was only last year. So I came here. I'm gonna encourage you to go watch the video to find out more. But I did come here with no exact place to live, and within the span of a year, I became a single mom of 3. Whoa. So I went from having 1 kid to 3 kids in less than 1 year, and I didn't have twins. So life got a little crazy for sure.
Elaborate on that. How do you go from having 1 kid to 3?
All right. So I had moved down here last year in, was it like May? Yeah, around May. And then I was staying at a shelter up until July. July, I signed my first lease for an apartment, and within maybe a week of me moving in, I received a phone call asking if I could go pick up my daughter's sister. So my daughter, they share the same father, has 2 other siblings, same father, the other 2 had different moms. So I got a phone call, and it was, an agency, and they were like, yeah, can you, do you think you can help? Like, do you think you can take her? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And it's kind of how I felt in that moment was paying it forward. Like, I'm here to pay it forward. Because many people don't know, but my mother actually took me in as well. My dad's previous partner ended up being my caregiver for pretty much my whole life. So when I got that call, it was almost like that was my opportunity to pay it forward, because I don't know what my life would look like if she didn't do that for me. So I was like, well, I don't want to see something bad happen to her, so I'll take her. And so that was that had its own challenges. It was very difficult in terms of, there's a lot of trauma that she's experienced. So it was definitely a challenge navigating certain behaviors, and also the space factor. Remember, I'm fresh back to Toronto, and the economy's wild out here. So things are real expensive. Even I had to register for her for school, and I was like, how do I do this? Like, I don't even know what to do. I had no ID. She came with nothing, no clothes, no nothing. So I really had to start from the ground up with a 12-year-old. So that was pretty intense. And then shortly after that, a couple months after, that was this year, February, I got a phone call if I could pick up the brother. So I was like, yep, send him over. And again, I just feel like if I'm willing and I'm able, then I'm gonna do it. And it might be hard, it might be really hard, but I just feel like if I can give these kids another shot at success, then I'm gonna do my best to do that.
Wow, I feel like that's a lot to take on, especially for one person.
Definitely.
How has faith helped you through this transition?
Wow, that faith has honestly helped me through the whole thing, because I remember even just being at the shelter being like, this is actually crazy. Like, nobody really knew what was going on except for me and like a couple very close people to me. Nobody knew I was staying in a shelter, and in those moments, like, I didn't have a kitchen, I couldn't make food, I couldn't get groceries, I couldn't like do any of these things. And I didn't have a job, I didn't have a place. I was like, okay, I was really moving with faith. There was literally nothing else that could have saved me in that moment. It was an impulsive decision, but I just had faith that it was gonna work. In my head, there was no other option. It was like, this is gonna work. And so I talked to God a lot. I really started, I've always believed in God. I did have my own little, I wouldn't say falling out, but I started to get a little skeptical at one point in my life. But that time, I really leaned on him. And, I read my Bible every day. I did my affirmations every day. I spoke life into my situation and asked God for certain things. And whenever I asked God for things, literally, he answered me. Whether it be through a person, whether it be through, like, for example, I remember the day I got my apartment, I had been calling every single, like, housing support, every single one of those little agencies or anything like that. And one person told me, go on this website and check for an apartment. And I was like, okay, cool. So I did that, and I went on the website, and I remember saying that morning in my affirmations, I was like, please God, like, I really need to find a place. My days are running out, because I only have 45 days at the shelter. So I'm like, my days are running out. I still have no place to live. I had already done an interview, and I'm like, that's in the bag. So I know the job is going to be secure, but now I need the place. So I prayed, I'm like, please God, like, I really need a place. Like I really need this, And then boom, I went on this website, same day, went on the website, and I seen this place popped up. It was like 1850, it said in the description. I'm like, 1850? If these days, that's a great price. Like, I was like, what? So I'm like, oh my gosh, let me call her right away. And then when I called her, it was like, the way the conversation went, the tone in her voice, the type of person that she seemed to be like, I was like, oh, she's gonna understand me. Like, I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna meet her, and she's gonna get it. And that place is mine. And so she had just posted it. I called her right away. She called me back like within 2 minutes of me applying online. And she was like, yeah, do you want to come see it? I was like, yep, I'll be like on the way right now. So I went to go look at the place, and it was an African family. And I said, this is God. And I asked her, I said, do you believe in God? And then she was like, yeah. And I said, this happened for a reason. And I was actually speaking with the person who I spoke to. I was speaking with her mom when I went there. And I didn't tell her anything about my situation or anything like that. I just said, I like it, I'll take it. Like, what's the next steps, right? She said, talk to my daughter. I said, no problem. And when I spoke to the daughter, I kind of told her the situation. I was like, listen, I need this place. And I told her I'm staying at a shelter right now, and I need this place. And I don't know what conversation they had amongst each other, But when she called me back a couple of weeks later, or a couple of days later, she was like, my mom will not let me rent this apartment out to anybody else except for you. So many people have come to see this place. She only wants you. And I was like, wow. Look at God. You know, my credit was butchered. I was like, I didn't even have first and last. I was like, I'm gonna figure that out later. And like, I asked for something and God delivered that. So that's just one of many ways that, you know, my faith has guided me to where I am. But I definitely let God lead the way, you know, and it's gotten a lot deeper since then, but yeah.
Okay, so you've been through, you know, quite a few trials and tribulations. Where do you see yourself in like the next year? I know a lot of people like to say, oh, what's your 5-year plan? But no, what's your year plan? Like, what can we expect from you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have been really into content creation from like a young age, before it was even called content creation. And it's just always been a passion of mine to get in front of the camera, whether that be to talk to people, to entertain people, because I like to think I'm a little bit funny too. So, you know, just to highlight, honestly, like my life, because I feel like my life is very interesting. And so I've always wanted to be in that space. As, you know, time went on and things like that, I kind of strayed from that vision, you know, allowing certain things to get in the way and blocking me from actually doing those things. So with that being said, within the next year, I do plan on diving deeper into that content creation space. I have started my YouTube channel. I'm taking part in Vlogmas this year, which is new for me, and working on like my commitment to things like that, because it's one thing to start something, but you gotta carry it through. I'm talking to myself when I say that. I gotta carry it through. So with that being said, carrying through with my content creation journey, and also nourishing the businesses that I'm focused on right now, which is Peachy Clean, a cleaning business, and Content Creates Cash, and just growing in those areas, and also being more involved in the community. What I mean by that is, I feel like as I've learned certain things, I want to share that information. I want to share the resources that I have. I want to tap into different communities and share resources with them. So whether that be through events, because I also enjoy events, without taking too much on my plate, I do want to be in, without putting too much on my plate, I do want to give back to the community in some way. So I guess what you could see within the next year is going to be flourishing businesses, okay, 6-figure businesses. And I don't care if I sound delusional, and six-figure, yeah. What you're going to see is multi-million-dollar corporations, okay? That's the plan. And I don't care if it sounds delusional. That's just what I see. So multi-million-dollar corporations, I want my kids to be living the life that they talk about, because they be talking about how they want the mansion and they want the pool in the backyard and they want their room to look like this, and I want to be able to give that to them. So within the next year, I want to get into that. Within the next year, I want to be able to provide that, and if not fully, then on the way to do that. And yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm not cutting nothing.
You're gonna cut that out.
No, I'm not cutting nothing. It's all staying raw.
I know.
And that's a wrap. Well,
Please don't. Please don't. Please cut that part out.
No.
So don't be alarmed when you see me showing up.